The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, this is our first episode of Music Matters, and we have a very special guest today. She's a special guest to me and a very important person in my life. This is Barbara Morash. She is my lifelong voice teacher and good friend and mentor, and I'd like to introduce you to Barbara.
Hi, Rosemarie, this is very exciting. I think this is going to be a great show, and the title Music Matters, that's a really good title. I think a lot of people will want to watch the show and learn about how the music is affecting the community and the things you're going to talk about.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I have to say I'm very, very honored to have you on the show as my very first guest. And since I started creating this concept, I really had only you in mind as my very first guest, because symbolically it means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for being on the show. So, can you tell me what it was like to have me as a student all those years ago?
Rosemarie goes back a while. I think I was teaching, but I was beginning as getting out of college at New England Conservatory and starting to teach. And I worked as a singing waitress at a place called Romy's in Danvers. And a fellow came up and said to me, "Oh, would you be willing to teach lessons for our studio? I like your singing. Would you teach?" So I said, sure. And I was surprised to find out that you have to drive to people's houses. So I think you were the first person they sent me to. And I drove to your house, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I came in, and you're a teenager and very enthusiastic about singing and very nice to me. You welcomed me right in, and you know, it was a little different than coming to a studio or my home or something like that, which is normally what goes on. But you were like ready to go, and very attentive, very serious-minded, and you really listened and followed the directions, and it seemed like you wanted to have a lot of knowledge, and I believed in you right away. As a student, I thought, this is a girl that's going to learn to sing, and she's going to do singing for a career. And you did.
Well, thank you. I have to say that it was quite a shock when I first met you, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I feel like I'm one of the fortunate ones.
Well, you certainly did a lot with your lessons. I mean, you've done a lot of things, too. And you surprised me, too, because you started out with a goal of wanting to go to a conservatory or a music school. And when a voice teacher hears that from a student, especially a high school student, they know they have to do certain requirements to get the student's audition passed. So there's a lot of competition in colleges for singers. And they write out that they want, for example, songs in foreign languages if you want to be a singing major. And they give you they give you examples, but the voice teacher is supposed to pick the right song for the student. And most people don't know French, Italian, German, for example, or even the kind of music that they are looking for you to sing. And like yourself, you're one of them. When I'm coming in with a French song or an Italian song, I don't know, how'd you feel about that?
Well, it was all new to me as well as singing, so I was just ready to embrace whatever it was going to take.
That's Rosemarie, right there. She was going to embrace whatever it would take. That girl, she is strong and determined, and this show will be a success, I promise. Yeah, so that's what ends up happening a lot with new students, and they go in Italian, I don't sing, French, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's the requirements. So we started there with working on the requirements for UMass Lowell, right?
Yes.
That you auditioned for. But then the next thing I know, you were like, I want to be in a rock band. So I was like, rock band now? Okay, well, now we'll do rock. And just like the materials for the auditions for the conservatories, you learned the rock stuff, just like that. And then you had the guitar. I don't know, it's just one exciting thing after another. And to watch you build yourself a career, and it's not easy, and to stick to your guns and do it, I think that's wonderful. But I've had a lot of students that have gone on to have careers in music and be very successful. Some of them are opera singers, and they go over to Austria, is very popular in Germany, Italy for singing as they're building their careers before they get to places in the United States, which most of them would like to be at the Metropolitan Opera. But then I've had a lot of Broadway singers that are singing on Broadway and went into the schools for Broadway studies, and or some of them just were very, very talented and went right out and auditioned and got into stuff, into shows. But then I did a lot of band singers, rock and roll singers. The interesting thing to me is that you have to teach everybody how to take care of their instrument. So the singing techniques are basically the same, whether you're going to sing opera or if you're going to sing jazz or you're going to sing thrash music. It's still the same principles because the instrument is an instrument. It's got a larynx and a tongue, and you're breathing. There's a lot, believe it or not, there's a lot to singing for those that have never been aware of it. I know Rosemarie knows, but people are often surprised with how much work goes into being a good singer. And so the actual technique, which is what I specialize in, is the how-to get your body and mechanisms in the best place possible for your ultimately good sound. And then you take that and decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to sing jazz? Do you want to sing opera? Do you want to sing in a rock band? But everybody would learn the same way, you know, the same principles, and learn to take care of your instrument. So if you kind of compared it to a guitar, I mean, the guitar solos in a heavy metal band are nothing like very sweet classical guitar or flamenco guitar solos. But you still have to learn to play the guitar. So I'm like, you learn to use your instrument, person. So that was kind of a mouthful, huh?
Yeah, that was fantastic because I think a lot of people don't have that full understanding of what it takes.
Well, yeah, they'll call up and say, I'd like to take voice lessons, and I'm open to doing it every day this week. Why would you want to do it every day this week? Well, I don't know anything about singing. Can we be done by next week? No. No, but if you want to lose 100 pounds and I give you the food to eat for a week, will you be done with your 100 pounds? No. But when you're training muscles and you're training habits or retraining habits, it's consistent. And another thing about coming every day, at least for a voice technician, you have homework to do. You have to go home and practice, and you need to do things. So yes, you could get somebody to teach you every single day and do the practicing with you every day, but that's going to be very expensive. Why would you not just go home and practice yourself? So no, you can't. You can't come once a week, get your homework assignment, go home and practice it, and come in again. And be prepared for a long haul on it. Because if you really, really want to be good, you have to, it's like an onion. You peel away a layer, and then something's underneath of it. Then you peel the next one, and you keep going until you've lined up everything you need to be able to sing well. So I would say a lot of people misunderstand, and a lot of people think they can't fix their voice too, which they certainly can. I've yet to have a person come into me that didn't get their voice working. And I think some of the people you know, like one of the girls that worked with you for a long time, she had come in with nodules and was very hoarse. Nodules causes you to sound like you have laryngitis. It makes your pitch go very poor. You go to sing and a note doesn't come out. It's a real problem if you use your voice for a living. And she had trouble. And then when the therapy was done and her voice came back, she fixed the things that she wasn't doing correctly so she wouldn't have that problem again, because she was irritating her voice to get the nodules. But I've had some pretty serious voices come in that have been damaged from trauma, stuff like that, where their voices are harmed. And some of them aren't for singing. Some of them are because they have a job they use their voice for. So one woman ran a aerobics class, and people were all tapping on the floor, and she was trying to shout when the music was playing. And she had damage on her voice, and so by taking that job, she got to the point where she couldn't speak at all.
Oh my goodness.
And it was a long time to fix that voice and repair it, because you have to get rid of your nodules first. I mean, you have to go through a process. But that woman eventually sang professionally out.
Fantastic.
She sang professionally out. She did some clubs, her own show, and she also did, on a lesser scale, nursing homes and things. But this is a woman that came in completely, like nodules, a mess, couldn't, what you'd say was tone deaf. She wasn't tone deaf. She just had vocal problems.
So can you tell me what distinguishes yourself from another voice teacher? Suppose she had gone to a different teacher.
A lot of voice teachers are coaches, which means that they might warm you up, but they really want to work on songs. So, and that's a valuable lesson, but they want to work on songs. They want to make sure you're singing the right lines, you've got the right rhythms, you're in the right style. You know, if you're an opera singer, you don't want to sing a pop song like an opera singer, for example. So they get you in the right style. Then some of them want to go into, you know, the interpretation of the song, the acting, things like that. Whereas you're going to come to me, I'm going to sit down and start analyzing what you're doing wrong with your voice. And I'm going to start giving you exercises and homework to do to start to correct what you're doing that's not working. I'm not sure how much that matters to music matters, but I guess all the people that are learning to use their voice aren't just doing music, they're doing lots of things. Teachers often lose their voice because of incorrect usage of it. Ministers and politicians often lose their voice because they're trying to speak loud for long periods of time and they're not using the actual voice correctly. And unless you do use your voice a lot, you wouldn't really ever care or notice it. But singers that are in bands, oftentimes successful band singers, are singing Wednesday through Saturday night every single week, really working their voices hard. Some bands on a tour are singing and then packing it up and driving to the next city and singing, and they're exhausted. And if you don't have a solid technique, you start to wear down on your voice. And the same can happen with a Broadway singer. Those singers sing 6 nights a week and 2 matinees. They usually have Sunday or a Monday off. And if you're belting and you're not using your voice correctly, you can go very hoarse as a professional. A lot of times that's when people will come, is they've got a professional job and they've hurt their voice.
Now Barbara's going to perform for us The Nearness of You.
It's not the pale moon that delights me, that thrills and excites me. Oh, It's just the nearness of you. When I'm in your arms and I feel you so close to me, oh, my wildest dreams, they come true. Don't need no soft light to entrance me if you'll only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight and to feel in the night the nearness of you.
Let's talk about some of the shows that you direct and the vision that you have to be able to have families involved.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about a particular thing that I do. I put on fundraisers for many different things. It could be for a church. I've done it for the police department in Stoneham, where I'm from. That's in Massachusetts, not New Hampshire. I've done it for the Boys and Girls Club, lots of different places. But the reason I do them is because having children of my own, there were always things you could do with your children, but they very often were things your children were interested in. So, and they were great and fun, and I love to see the expression on my kids' faces and, you know, enjoy it with them. But then there were the adult time, and then the kids are sitting there while the adults are doing something. And there wasn't very much that both generations could enjoy. And I thought, you know, so many people like to sing. I've had little kids come in for lessons. I've had elderly people come in for lessons. So I know everybody, that's something everybody likes. So I said, well, I'll do the shows, and then the families can participate. And I have had whole entire families come in to do the show. We'll pick a theme, could be anything. The most recent one we did was a Cinderella's Fantastic Ball. So we used that as a theme. But everybody, there's a place for everybody in the show. So there could be stuff with little kids there. We used an example in that show, which is over with. We had babies, little babies, and the families come in dressed as in costumes that they got. Winnie the Pooh, Mickey Mouse, what's the girl from the Let It Go song? I should know that, shame on me.
Elsa.
Everybody knows it. Elsa, yes. Elsa, Anna, whatever. And the babies were held by cast members at Cinderella's feet while she sang a song in her Cinderella costume. So it was really pretty to see all the babies and the little characters sitting around her. And then they got carried off. That was their cameo. But later on, little children came that were like between 5 years old and 10. And they sang a Jiminy Cricket song, Whistle While You Work. But then there were more sophisticated arrangements that took people that had musical talent to sing hard harmonies and do characters and dance and things. So they would all be challenged on their level. You know, with songs like Supercalifragilistic, you have to jump around and do stuff. And then there were other songs that were just beautiful solos that we had, you know, professional singers carrying songs like that. And the thing is that everybody's the same. So the babies were just as important as the person singing Let It Go, for example, because the babies were cute and they were adding that dimension to the show, even though they couldn't sing. They mattered. And people would go, oh, when they'd come out, oh, they're so cute. And it would make them smile. And that's what entertainment is anyways, is touching somebody in some way, communicating something to them for why they should come out that day and sit in a seat and see what you've got to offer, that you give them something. And So it could be a beautiful voice, it could be a dance, it could be a chorus, it could be a costume. You know, there's so many ways. And these shows are something I put a lot of effort into because I don't make any money doing them. It's all for whatever the fundraiser is. But all these families can participate. And another one that comes to my mind is in the Beatles theme show one time. We had a little girl 4 years old, and then her sister who was in middle school. And then her mom was an artist. And so her mom made a yellow submarine, and the little ones did the yellow submarine, and she made them a yellow submarine in the show. So her sister, older sister, did some more difficult numbers and dancing that she was capable of, but the little one did, with the little kids, the yellow submarine, but the mom made the submarine. So they all put in their talents together, you know, and contributed. And another family, the father who was a NASA scientist and, you know, it also happened to play the trumpet. He came in and played the trumpet in the show. And his children, high school age children, one college age children, they all sang very, very well. So they participated as on stage. And his wife was a very talented artist, so she drew pictures of each one of the Beatles, very, very big pictures. They made like a whole set in the back, and we hung them in the church. And it looked beautiful. She's very, very talented. And the whole family was working on this project together. And every single one had something important to do. So even like the 4-year-old doing her yellow submarine, she had to be on the right spot at the right time, singing the right words, with her face sticking out the yellow submarine window, just as her older sister had to be at the microphone doing her dance. And there was another one that had a little girl with that 4-year-old and a college student and a grandmother. Wow. And the grandmother was in the show too. And she sang in all the chorus numbers and participated. So her little 5-year-old sang a solo. She was very talented and still is. She's from New Hampshire. She sang the solo and carried that part, but the grandmother's part was important too, with the harmonies that she was singing. It's just a way for a whole family to be in a project together that they're all at home excited about. And when you sit down for dinner, you have something that everybody is involved with that can talk about it. And it's been very successful because it does draw families to participate.
Yeah, I do remember that Beatles show, actually, and I remember that my brother Tim at the time was discovering his artistic ability, and you generously allowed him to participate and do some of his artwork to help raffle off to, you know, increase the fundraising revenue.
And your brother was very talented and still is. We say was because we're talking about the past show,
That's right.
but he's still just as talented today. He has a website. He's great.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
great.
Well, that was a fantastic opportunity for us to be involved.
I know, and I think your daughter did some videotaping too.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It brings the music opportunity brought people together. And I think that's something I love a lot.
Yes, and the passion speaks through you. Here's Barbara performing Where You Are.
Who can say for certain, maybe you're still here. I feel you all around me. Your memory is clear. Deep in the darkness, I can hear you speak. You're still an inspiration. Can it be that you are my forever love? And you're watching over me from up above. Fly me up to where you are, beyond a distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile. Are you gently sleeping here inside my dreams? And isn't faith believing all power can't be seen? As I now hold you, just one breath away, I cherish all you gave me every day. For you are my forever love, and you're watching over me from up above. And I believe that angels breathe, and that love will live on and never cease. Fly me up to where you are, beyond a distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile, if only for a while to know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you are. I know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you are.
That I was thinking about your title, Music Matters, and how music helps a community and things, and it reminded me of, I'm changing subjects on you, but I sang a Messiah in Boston. I was the soloist for a production of the Messiah in Boston, and the city of Boston had given a grant to put on the Messiah for free for the people of Boston. And when I got there, the chorus members, many of them were homeless people. Beautiful voices and good musicians, absolutely right on target. And they were, had to go borrowing things. And it was a little bit to try to get them all in tuxedos. But they all came in with their tuxedos, but we'd finish rehearsal and they'd have something, a purpose they were working on. And you would never even know they were homeless. And then they would leave and everybody's going home, and their home would be the alley down the street, which in one way could sound sad to somebody, but they weren't sad people. They felt they belonged, they talked and participated and really contributed and helped to raise money. I think for the church, they had a donation or something. The grant money covered the cost of the orchestra and everything, and the soloists and stuff. But they helped to give that back to the city of Boston, through singing. And I was personally very amazed and impressed with that. If they didn't have that entity for them to be a part of, they would probably not have something to look forward to, put a smile on their face, and singing makes people feel good.
Yes.
You should be happy when you're singing.
Yes.
Even if you're crying inside.
Very, very true. Now, you wrote music for a show.
Yes, I wrote a musical review called Love to Sing. And I wrote it because we were trying to do so many shows through the agency. And everybody that had a song, like famous composers, wanted a ton of money to sing their song in the show. A ton of money. You would have no idea. You see a big show and it's full audience and you think how rich everybody is. It's a ton of money to sing someone's song. And so we kept having to close shows because we couldn't afford to rent the song for the night, for example. So I just said, fine, then I'm going to write the show. And I wrote a show called Love to Sing. And it ran for 4 years in the North Shore area. it went as far as it could go to develop without having to go into like a serious production of it. But we did take it to downtown Disney. We played it in Florida. It's at Disney World, and downtown Disney has this really beautiful stage in front of their lake, Buena Vista. And yeah, the show played down there. But after that, I had other projects too. So Love to Sing kind of ran its course for the moment. But the songs are still there, and people still sing them and use them for auditions and whatnot here and there. They'll still come up.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful story. Now, was the lullaby that you wrote, Rockabye Baby? Correct me.
Rockabye Bye. Yes, that was in one of the songs in the show. The premise of Love to Sing was exactly that. It's about loving to sing, and the music is diverse because people like country music, people like Broadway, people like pop, people like jazz, people like classical music. So the show has something for everybody in it that loves to sing. And the actual show, the song Love to Sing, people in the audience learned it and sang with the cast. And I know a lot of people love to sing. But in the show, there are little vignettes, and one of them was a vignette of something that mattered to me, and that as a singer, there are so many songs that are about being a cheating husband, a cheating boyfriend, a broken heart. I have many lovers. I don't have any lovers. It's all, very sad and torn up, and it gives for good drama. But I was looking for something that people loved each other in it, and I couldn't really find one at the time, so I wrote a song called Rockabye Bye, and the way the story folds is that the mother has a baby with a husband she loves, and he loves her. So they have a little baby boy, and she sings the lullaby to the baby boy in her rocking chair, and the husband is peeking in on her, and he's talking to the audience too, and he points out to his wife and talks about how beautiful she is, and look at her, like a queen with a prince in her arms, as baby a prince. And he ends by saying, I love my wife. And then as the story goes on, the baby boy becomes a man, and then he marries a wife that he loves, and they have a new baby boy, and they bring the baby to the mother because he loved and had a good relationship with his mother. So he brings his new prince to the grandmother, and she repeats the cycle. Now she's rocking the baby grandchild, the boy, and the grandfather is watching, and he sees it, and he still feels the exact same way. So he repeats it as if they never aged a day, and says, look at her, she's exquisite, like a queen with the prince in her arms. And he ends saying, I love my wife. So through the whole story and their whole life, they had a good marriage. They had children that were happy. And they had each section of their life was beautiful for them. So I did it for that, and now it's kind of a long song, but I sing the grandma part to my grandchildren.
Would you care to sing some of that for us now?
Well, I'll just sing the chorus of it, the
Okay.
part that I sing to the kids. When I have 3 grandchildren, and I have a newborn that's 11 months, and a 2-year-old, and a 10-year-old. So I sang, I'm your grandma, come to hold you. Rock-a-bye-bye, baby, close your eyes. Gentle kisses I will give you. Rock-a-bye-bye, baby, close your eyes. Feel your soft skin, hear your heart beat. Little tiny fingers holding mine. Oh, my sweet one, I adore you. Rock-a-bye-bye, baby, close your eyes.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Rosemary.
Let's listen to Barbara perform her composition, Coming Apart.
I don't wanna fall in love with you, 'cause I already love you too much. I don't want a chance of broken heart, 'cause it's already coming apart. It's just my conviction, two and two don't mix. Stars won't shine forever, and the moon's just a trick. I don't want a twinkle in my eye, 'cause they're already blazing with fire. I don't want to think of you each night, 'cause I'm already sick with desire. My imagination really does me in, makes me start to wonder, why don't I just give in? The crazy people who fool themselves with fantasies of someone else have no control of their destiny. It seems to me such misery. I don't wanna whisper in your ear, 'cause I already know that it's wrong. I don't wanna write your poetry, 'cause I've already written a song. I don't wanna fall in love with you, 'cause I already love you too much. I don't want a chance of broken heart, 'cause it's already coming apart. It's coming apart. It's coming apart. It's coming apart. It's coming. It's coming. I'm coming apart.
So, how about talking about the program that you developed when you were teaching at the inner city school, where you were able to help some of the children solve their own issues?
Okay, I taught at a high school and was the head of the music and drama department. And now I see how old I am. I did say I was a grandma. At the time I was teaching there, Michael Jackson's Beat It was big, and Billie Jean. And the kids used to have these big beat boxes they carried around. And honestly, that's why they had muscles, I think, because the boxes were huge. And today's generation would not know this, but they literally carried these monster boxes. So when I first came to the high school and they asked me to direct a show, so I came in at first as a director, and I walked in, and there were about 80 kids in the gymnasium. There were kids hanging on basketball hoops, trying to climb in them. There were kids doing cheerleading, the cheerleading kids. There were kids just sitting on the floor, just like at attention, ready to go. Then there was this group of kids with these beat boxes that were breakdancing with each other in the corner. And when I walked in, there was a lot of kids. And I walked in, I was like, oh my God. So I sang one of my high operatic notes that sort of penetrated the eardrum and got everyone's attention. And then we kind of went from there. And the boys that had the beatbox were in gangs. And so I learned that they would sometimes solve their gang problems by having competitions with breakdancing. So I thought that was interesting, and I had to put a show together. So we did, I'm trying to think, I think the show was something with rock. I forget what it was called, Christmas Rock or something, because it was supposed to be a Christmas show. But I actually put in to the show, let the guys with their thing put their beatboxes down and do like some of their break dancing in there. And we became friends. We became friends, all of us, as much of a friend as a teacher can be to a student, although we're friends. But we talked to each other and we listened and we created things together, and they weren't doing too well at school. A lot of them were not. They had a lot of issues at home, and teachers, those that are teachers will relate to this. Teachers have to deal with the students coming in with whatever they're dealing with at home too. It affects them. So what I found was that these kids really, really loved to perform if they were given a forum to do it with. So I called it kind of a club, and a lot of them joined. And we asked, together as a team, what do you want the club to do? And so they wanted dancing lessons, they wanted acting lessons, they wanted to visit with other schools and interact. They wanted to learn specialty things. They wanted to put on shows. They had a whole bunch of I want list. So, well, they're kids. But yeah, we created all of that. So I got a dancing teacher, actually, this woman that worked at Romy's, a phenomenal dancer, and she was a friend of mine. I talked her into coming to the school Tuesdays and Thursday mornings from like 7 o'clock to 7:30. Actually, she must have come 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 7:30, half an hour, because school would start at 8. And we would come in to the classroom and move all the desks to the side, push everything over, and we hung sheets from the beds up over the windows, because they were huge, huge windows, to cover them up. And they were bookshelves that got used as dancing bars. And literally, they'd have their clothes for dancing, which would be ripped up, you know, sort of like gym clothes. And some of them had leotards and things, but they didn't have money. So we made do, and the teacher would teach them a half an hour, 3 times a week in the morning. And then they'd have to rip down the sheets and put the class together real quick by 8 o'clock and kind of wipe the sweat off them. And they paid her themselves. They got little jobs and stuff, and they all chipped in, and they made like a budget. And those that couldn't come in the morning, the teacher came back on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and she did an hour or 45 minutes after school. And the same thing would happen. Up would go the curtains, and class would turn into a dancing studio. And then I got an acting teacher to come in that was a specialist in certain types of acting and improvisation. We got Jack Stein to come in, and he did a whole makeup seminar on a Saturday for like 4 hours. And he died since, but it was great, because they were doing in the show, the Christmas show, they were doing Thriller. We did the remake of the movie, and we had all the tables out on the gymnasium floor, and so the monsters were hiding. During intermission, they were hiding under the table. So when people sat down, they didn't even know they had a monster under the table. So it kind of came up from the grave that way. But Jack Stein came in to teach them. I don't know if you know who Jack Stein is, but he's a famous makeup artist.
Okay.
And he has a makeup commodities for people in theater and movies and stuff. A lot of people use his makeup. It's excellent. And he's done all kinds of stars and things. So he had it out of Boston. So when I called and told him about this Inner City High School, he was so intrigued that he came down. They paid him, but he gave them quite a discounted price. And he liked it. He stayed all day, and they made monster wigs and glued stuff on their faces. And he really taught them a lot. It was exciting. And anyway, they did the monsters. They remembered it. And they put everything they learned together and into the show. And they were very proud of it. We organized a drama club swap with other school drama clubs, and we went back and forth with them. We organized trips to Manhattan to see Broadway shows. We did a lot. They made up a newspaper and all kinds of stuff. But they, and to show you like why this is also important, and I'm saying the dancing beatbox, but we were doing one of the shows, one of the Broadway shows there, and one of the kids that was doing the lead, who never did a show in his life, but got to the point of being a lead, he was on stage doing his number, and he had somebody that was mad at him that wanted to have a fight, like a knife fight. And the kid that was looking for him actually walked in during the performance in front of the audience, literally walked in on the stage, calling this kid by name and saying, "Hey, dude, we're going to go at it." And I was playing the piano, and I like to get up from the piano and go, "We're in a performance here. What's going on?" And literally take this person off the stage and keep it calm while somebody else called 911, because in this city, they were in fights.
Right.
After that, that student couldn't stay in that city because he wasn't safe. So I made arrangements for him to come to where in Stoneham High, where I was, and he, with his parents and stuff, we worked it out for him to change schools, and he finished a senior year in Stoneham. He went on to Emerson, and he was the first weatherman ever as a freshman at the Emerson College Theater Department. And then he went on to do videos, and he's extremely successful and makes a heck of a lot of money.
Wow. That is an
A heck of a
amazing
lot.
story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just goes to show you with your dedication and what music can do.
It was the music that brought all that together, yeah. And I've had similar stories with other boys. I have a little clip, if you happen to find it, of some of the boys singing one of the songs that I did for some of the boys that were having a similar problem.
Okay.
They started a boys group. They may not be time for it, but they did a group called Vox. And they went all the way to play for the 20th anniversary of the Vietnam War in Washington, D.C.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they worked really hard too.
That's quite a journey.
I would say they'd say so.
Yeah. What do you have upcoming?
Well, I just finished the one show, so I was like to have a rest. But what's upcoming is I am musically directing The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which is with the Saugus Theater Company. And that show is a very fun show. The music is mysterious, and I've got a lot of practicing to do to learn the whole score. But the premise is that the audience participates, so it's like a clue game, and they introduce all these different people that could be the murderer, and it's a lot of fun, and it's improv style, and then they get to a certain point. They've introduced as much as they can, and then they say, okay, the audience votes on who's the murderer. So then the audience, however they're going to handle it, will vote who the murderer is and who has the affairs and stuff. And the cast will have to improvise whatever the audience chooses. So it could be a different performance every night, and it's a lot of fun. And a girl that I worked with at North Shore Music Theater, Donna Murphy, she got a Tony Award for playing the part of Edmund Drood. So she went from being 18 years old in high school at the North Shore Music Theater all the way to being a very big Broadway star. And when they asked me about Edmund Drood, the first thing that came into my mind was, oh, Donna Murphy, she got the Tony Award for that. So it was pretty popular. I hope people like it. It's not going to be performed till October.
Okay.
But yeah, it's kind of busy. So I might be singing. I've been asked to sing a recital for the Beethoven Society at the end of this month. So I'm looking into doing some classical singing. For that, I'm thinking of doing the Mahler's Second Symphony, the solo part with that, with a couple of other German art songs. And then the Drood will be in performance in October. And I just got called about a Messiah Now for December. They come up fast, because you book things too, and sometimes you look for a rest.
Yes.
And what I'm really interested in is teaching, to be honest with you. I love to teach voice and piano and acting and stuff.
Well, why don't we tell everyone how they can reach you if they were interested in studying voice with you?
Well, I have an email. Music is Art Agency is the name of my business, and it's musicIsArtAgency@yahoo.com. But my phone number, I think, is listed 617-386-5555. 335-6730. Then you could call that number and reach me. That's all. I don't have a website, and I think it's hard for grandmas to want to have it. I don't want to put myself down as old because I'm not, but all that stuff is, things I need to learn more about. And I've been successfully doing my business and people calling me. I haven't really had to do that. There's a thumbtack organization
Okay.
that I joined recently, and they promote voice teachers and stuff through the thumbtack. And I think my name, Barbara Morash, is on the thumbtack.
Yes, I did happen to check that out and received some interesting information from reading the reviews and saw that everyone thinks very well of you.
Well, thank you. Believe it or not, I don't know all of that stuff because they don't send it to the teachers.
Oh, they
But you
don't?
hear about it after the fact. Or somebody that goes on will see it all. They take information and you directly give it to them, and they do something. In fact, well, this week I got an email that I've been selected Voice Teacher of the Year for the thumbtack.
Well, that's fantastic.
I'm supposed to let them build me a website.
Okay.
So I have to contact them about that award, and yeah, I better take care of that. So maybe I'll have a website in the future through the thumbtack. But I'm pretty easy to get a hold of anyways through the email and through calling me. I can't think of any other thing. I have a LinkedIn.
Okay.
New on that too. Don't have a Facebook.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming today and being part of my very first show. I am thrilled and privileged and honored to know you, and I'm very glad you were able to come and do this for me and with me.
Thank you, Rosemarie. Thank you very much for having me. And thank you, people, for watching this show and listening to what I had to say.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.